Football is a sport that is defined by opportunity. You need to take advantage of any opening you receive to convey your true skill, grit, and gridiron intelligence. For some, these chances come quickly. Once-in-a-generation physical measurables, early development, and legendary bloodlines all pave NFL careers since adolescence. However, others have to wait their turn. Late bloomers that aren't seen by FBS scouts have a long and winding road to the Shield. From there, few are able to reach the rarefied air that is traveled by Super Bowl caliber players who vie for the Lombardi Trophy. These are their stories.
The journey, it definitely makes you want it more. It makes you more determined.
When you get an opportunity, don't waste it.
That was part of the reason why I had a small name and no one really talked about me because I went to a small school.
It doesn't matter how you start. It's just all about how you finish.
When I went to a small school, it's just like we didn't have a lot of resources.
Man, just keep believing, man. Just keep seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
To cancel out the noise, like some of the other guys said, that's probably the biggest thing.
Careers are embarked long before the bright lights of the NFL draft, or even the crowds of a Saturday college football game. They begin with someone taking a chance on you, a bright-eyed high school student that has untapped promise. For these FCS stars, it didn't come easy. Some didn't even receive a scholarship to start their collegiate career.
My recruiting process was really no recruiting at all, I actually got one offer from a D2 school, and that's the only real offer I ever got. The head coach at South Dakota State, he had a friend from a near town that I played against, and he said, Stig, man, you got to look at this guy. I think he could help the program. And Stig looked at my film, and so I don't know what you see in this guy, but he came down to one of my basketball games and said, if you want to walk on to South Dakota State, we love to have local South Dakota talent in there.
I was pretty under-recruited. South Dakota actually ended up being my only Division I offer. Had a walk-on at a couple FBS schools, but I played safety in high school, so I think that was a big part of it. I think a lot of schools knew I was going to have to change positions, so I took a program with some foresight and some ability to see me growing into a role.
Yeah, I was just trying to play football 4 more years, and so I was going to all kinds of camps, and I grew up a huge Pitt fan, and so I really wanted a Pitt offer, whether I was going to go to Pitt or not. That was something I really wanted, and when it didn't come, it put a huge chip on my shoulder going into Penn. I wanted to prove everybody wrong, prove everyone that I could play at that level, and so after 4 years, getting a chance to go play against some of the top talent in Mobile, Alabama, in the Senior Bowl, and then 5 years in the NFL, man, it feels good, kind of proving and validating all those people wrong.
Once you earn a spot on the FCS stage, it isn't enough to just be satisfactory. You need to be great, dominant, excellent. There's always that moment in a player's career when they know, hey, I could turn pro.
It'd probably be my sophomore year. My first year I kind of splashed around, had a good playoff game that I played in. But my second year, I really took off. They just put me all different places, running back, receiver, quarterback, nickel defensive back. And I made plays throughout the year at all of them.
Yeah, it was, for me, kind of the end of my sophomore season there. I thought I would have a shot to make it into the league. At that point, I was hoping I'd get a tryout somewhere. And then my junior year came around, and it was pretty much after my first game my junior year that I'm like, I can really do this. Like, I'm built for this, and that's kind of when my career at South Dakota State really took off, and that's when I felt good about my position. I think I changed my major that year to make it a little bit easier, so I could focus on football.
I would say after my freshman year, just kind of let go of the stress, the pressure. Obviously, it was still there, but knowing how to deal with it. That really changed my game.
After my freshman year, I set some program records for receiving, and I said, hey, there's always 1, 2, 3 guys from the Ivy League that make it in the NFL each year, so why can't I be one of those guys? And so I didn't tell anyone. I just started working my butt off, and after a couple years of All-American seasons, I think some other people started believing it too, but it was really just about improving each day, trying to win each day, and knowing that the individual stuff would take care of itself if that happened.
You've done all the right things in college, excelled in every facet of the experience, both on and off the field. Now it's time to take the next step to the NFL. In that process, there are many people willing to help that have been right in your shoes to give advice as draft day approaches.
Year before me, we had Jaquaski Tartt. He got drafted in the second round from Sanford, and he was giving me advice, and I kind of saw from afar the process he was going through. And then my DB coach, Sam Shade, he played 8 years in the league, so he was able to give me some advice.
But I did actually get a chance to talk to Aaron Donald, like right before I came out in the draft. It was a brief conversation, but that obviously as a college guy, you're like, oh my God, Aaron Donald talked to me. So, but he, just was telling me just to, stay focused and keep playing the way I've been playing, keep that energy and kind of tenacity. And obviously I had his number, so it was easy for him to see me and stuff like that. But yeah, that's
probably the one person that I talked to, and it was probably more because we had the same agency. I can't say I asked him for a lot of tips and tricks, but it was Carson Wentz, same agent. He was North Dakota State, I was South Dakota State, so we had a little bit in common. And I was really just talking to him about our agency, and then once I got there, I feel like my agency had so many good people around me that I was just focused on what they were saying. They were the real experts. It's tough to make it from the FCS level to be drafted super high, so there wasn't a ton of people. Spent a little bit of time with Cooper Kupp out there. That was kind of before he blew up. But, so I definitely had people that led me in the right direction.
Successfully leaping into the pros takes a special type of attitude. The grit, the hard work, the extra dedication. Before suiting up to clash on the largest stage in North American sports, these players are able to reflect on their journey and give back to the next crop of FCS players, vying for an NFL spot.
When I went to a smaller school, it's just like we didn't have a lot of resources, so I really didn't know much. And when I got to the NFL, to get all this stuff thrown at me that could help me, make me a better player, I just took advantage of it, and it just used it to elevate my game.
Things that I could control, I just try to take full advantage of it, because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And then, everything worked out for the best. I spent 4 great years in Minnesota, learned a lot coming into the league, had a great offense coordinator, North Turner, was able to sign a lucrative second deal, play for Kyle Shanahan, another great coach. Blessing in itself, just being able to provide for my family, and make sure my kids are straight. And then, sending me here to everything leading to here, playing for legendary Coach Reed. It's just all a blessing, when I look back on this. So, everything that happened, man, it happened for a reason. And, like I said, man, it's a blessing just to be here.
Yeah, it was a different path. I don't think, we always talk about the, FCS schools and versus FBS schools. And I definitely think that, I took a different path, but it wasn't just the most crazy or unique path. There's been a lot of guys that's done this the same way that I've done it. They're coming into the NFL from that level. But the journey, it definitely makes you want it more. It makes you more determined because you don't have the I'm going to a big school. I got that big logo on my chest, so that boosts me. You don't have that. You really gotta have real talent. You gotta go out there and prove every game. That you're the player that you say you are. So that's kind of the difference. It taught me how to, as I said earlier, do my 111. That was what we all talked about in college. It's like, obviously we're coming into a little struggling program in Western. And so we all told each other, like, hey, man, we all do our job. We're some pretty damn good football players. And so if we all do our job and do it good and beat the matchup across from us, we should be pretty good. So that's all I focus on is just, doing my job and I get my opportunity to do so.
I would tell them not to stress out about it. Don't think too much about it. Because I know a lot of guys are paying real close attention to the media and whatnot. And I would say that was part of the reason why I had a small name and no one really talked about me because I went to a small school. So I know that can kind of get in the heads of guys. But just keep your head down and continue to work hard, and it'll work out.
Just keep that chip on your shoulder. You're going to go in there, you're going to go in there and see guys, who went to these bigger schools, but just knowing that you can play with them and you just take advantage of the opportunity.
Determination, that extra chip on the shoulder, and world-class perseverance are all qualities that explain why these past FCS studs have parlayed their success to play in the big game. Stars like Jerick McKinon, Dallas Goedert, Javon Hargrave, James Bradberry, and many more have unique stories and characteristics that define their incredible accomplishments at the professional level. Forged from small facilities and lesser media attention, these players had to work extra hard to make their dreams a reality. Now, they receive the brightest spotlight of all after taking the field in the desert for Super Bowl 57. For WFUV Sports, I'm Andrew Gullotta.